If there's one thing that running $1 million martial arts school for the last 14 years has taught me, is that it's not just one thing that allows you to generate multiple seven figures year after year. But in this video, I'm gonna lay out for you some of my most important lessons, so maybe it can help you fast track and speed your way through those lessons yourself. Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer Waters. I'm one of the founders of 7-Figure Dojo, where we actually help school and academy owners turn their dreams into reality. Now, over the last 14 years, I've actually taken my own flagship school where we teach martial arts, and we've been running at over $1 million a year for those last 14 years. Now, there's been a lot of lessons that I have learned in running $1 million a year business and building that business up to that point. And so today, what I really want to do is just distill those lessons into something tangible, so that if you're running a martial arts school or a dance school, or you have a gymnastics academy or even a music academy, you're distilling and you're learning these things in a much faster way, a much faster method than I did. So hopefully you can shorten that cycle of learning. And that's what we ultimately do at 7-Figure Dojo for our clients that work with us one-on-one. Now, the first lesson that I learned very early on is if you build it, they will not come. There was this old movie when I was a kid growing up. It was called The Field of Dreams. And the concept was that this baseball team would come to this field as long as Kevin Costner, the star of the film, built it. And then they would show up and they would play this game, and like all these things would happen. I don't remember the rest of the plot line, but I do remember this concept of, well, I just have to build it and then people will show up. Somehow this has ended up in business. We go in and we go, well, I have some people that are interested in what I'm doing. I'm teaching them. They're excited about it. Maybe you started off like my dad, teaching martial arts inside of a rec center, and you're going, okay, I've got like 20 people here, 30 people. I think I could just open up a retail facility, and if I do, more people will come. The reality is that it doesn't work like that. You see, just because you open up a commercial facility or you're deciding to go bigger doesn't actually mean that you will, and it doesn't actually mean that more people are going to know about you, especially post-COVID. 2020 changed a lot of things for local businesses, and they certainly changed even more things for school and academies that used to rely on things like referrals or walk-ins or people looking you up on your website. To be honest, there's just a lot of noise right now in society that's preventing people from actually discovering who you are, which brings us to lesson number 2. Acquisition is everything. You see, one of the lessons that I learned really early on in that first 4.5 to 5 years of us generating enough revenue where we finally hit $1 million a year is that it didn't have much to do with the product of what we were teaching. It had everything to do with how fast and how much that we could get out into the community, as well as get in front of people's eyeballs to entice them and to interest them in what we have to offer. You see, for most martial arts schools, dance schools, we do this because we're passionate about it. I don't think very many of us actually came in and went, you know, I'm gonna open up a school because I think this is the best way to make money. For a lot of us, it's like, well, this is what I'm passionate about, and why can't I earn money doing what I'm passionate about? At least that's what it was for my dad when he opened up the school back in the early 80s. And for me growing up, that's always what I wanted to do. I wanted to live out my passion, and to this day, I'm extremely passionate about doing martial arts and teaching it and being involved in it. I love it. It's like the air that I breathe every single day. I love doing it, and I love sharing that. But in order for other people to catch that vision, we have to first work on acquiring them, getting them to actually see who we are on a regular basis. And so if you can tap into learning promotion, learning marketing, getting in front of those eyeballs in several different realms, whether that's digitally or that's in actual life, interaction, real life interaction, you've got to get in front of those people so that they can know what you have to offer and why it's important to them. The third lesson I learned, and it was a really hard lesson, but I think it's important for you to understand this. Students quit, and they're gonna be quitting not because of how awesome you are or not. They're gonna be quitting because a certain percentage of your student base is always going to quit. There's nothing that you can do about it. It's like gravity. Now, when I say that, I also say it on the other hand, thinking about the fact that you are teaching great classes. If you're not teaching great classes, if your coaches, your instructors don't care about the students, then you probably aren't gonna have many students stick around. But if you're like most of the school and academy owners that I work work with, they're passionate about what they do. They care very much about the students that they teach. In fact, a lot of them go way out of their way to help students that are dealing with financial issues or dealing with interpersonal conflicts in the home or just different scenarios that really, as a martial arts school owner or as a dance owner, you probably shouldn't be stepping into, but because you're that type of person, because you're so passionate, you do it anyway, out of the goodness of your heart. And so when students quit, sometimes you can feel, at least I used to feel this way, that it's personal, that they quit because of something that I did or something that I said. And that could be true. But once I learned that it was always going to be like gravity, a certain percentage of my students were going to quit, I decided that I would pour everything I had into those students, knowing that eventually most of them would quit, a very small percentage would become coaches or instructors for me, and an even smaller percentage would take ownership in one of the companies that we have. And I realized that, and once I did, it started helping me be able to produce the best quality that I had and also be able to focus on acquiring new people, because I knew that those students were eventually going to fall off and I had to replace them with new people coming in the door. All right, lesson number 4 is that price is not connected with the amount of time that you have available for someone to train in whatever it is you offer. I see this mistake all the time, and we used to make it ourselves. We used to charge a certain amount based on how many times a week or how many sessions that you did. And the problem with that is that now we're doing what most everybody else usually does. They pay money and they expect a certain amount of time, as opposed to paying money and expecting a certain amount of value. And so when I started exchanging, instead of exchanging time for money, started exchanging value for money, everything changed, because I no longer had to worry about offering unlimited classes for somebody to value what it was that I was doing and what it was that I was trying to promote or utilize as a mechanism to have this person enroll into my school. So I started changing that up, and then immediately I was so shocked and surprised with the method that I used to create that value that people were like, oh yeah, that's no problem. I went from having to offer unlimited classes to offering just 2 classes a week. And those classes were rostered classes. People were actually signing up for a specific time to come to the classes. It blew my mind. But once I recognized that, it unlocked everything else. It unlocked the ability to grow to a huge level. We have over 500 students that are training at our school at any given time. It allowed me to start thinking, okay, all I have to do is find out what my local area can bear as far as what they can spend for extracurricular activities and adjust my pricing accordingly. And it finally allowed me and my family to get above the profit line. Instead of just worrying about how we were going to pay the bills every single month, we now had enough income for all of us, plus the ability to hire on staff members and still be able to turn a profit. This was huge for us. Okay, lesson number 6, I kind of hinted at it just a moment ago, but if you want to go fast, the old saying goes, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with a group of people, or in this case, a team. And this was a huge lesson because I'm the type of person who likes to do a lot of things on my own. I'm very independent. My mom and dad raised me to be that way. And so the thought of trying to delegate or to try and bring on a team that could actually do multiple things, that really seemed unnerving at first. And I'll be honest, I wasn't good at it. Initially, when we first hit our $1 million year, it was just my family. It was just us doing it. And it was so hard. We were stressed out. We were working crazy amounts of hours, and it just wasn't going to be sustainable. So we knew that we needed a team in order to make it sustainable, but we didn't know how to actually manage a team. And it really boiled down to our leadership abilities. I would say over the last 5 years or so, we've really honed in on our leadership training with our team. And if there's one hack that I could recommend is that you should never stop training your team how to be leaders. You know, in the beginning, you're just trying to pass on and kind of clone yourself. And that's one way to lead other people. But eventually you want those leaders to then multiply. You want them to train other people in your methodology, in the way that you do things. And by doing this, you're not just cloning yourself, you're replicating so many other versions of you to be able to do these jobs, to do these tasks in your business at the level that you would do them, or sometimes even better than how you would do them, because everybody has different personalities. Somebody's biggest weakness is someone else's biggest strength. And that's one of the things that I learned, and I wish I would have learned it sooner. Okay, lesson number 7 is no matter what people say, making money isn't evil. It's actually a tool used for good, or could be used for good. for whatever reason, especially in this industry, martial arts industry, the connotation that making money is a bad thing has stuck around for so long. And I really think it comes down to not with just martial arts, but the mindset that a lot of school and academy owners come from, that making money is something that I don't deserve, or making money means that I'm doing too well for myself. It's funny how a lot of times we lower ourselves to such base levels of humility that we forget that earning and generating revenue allows us to have greater impact. You know, if you think about it, if you were out in the ocean and you had a lifeboat, you wouldn't think too much about bringing other people on that lifeboat, helping to save them from all the perils of the ocean. But if you're in the ocean and there's sharks swimming around, you don't have a flotation device, you can't just go over to somebody else and say, yeah, come on over here, I'll hold you. It's not gonna work. You're both gonna drown. You're both gonna get eaten by sharks. So you've got to have something else. You've got to have a different plan in place. And I believe that it's very important for you to have impact. I believe that you're gonna first have impact with yourself and your family, supporting yourself and your family so that the family can then go and do amazing things and have an impact in the community. Even yourself, when you are stressed out about money, you can't have the same impact teaching your students that you would if money wasn't an issue. Additionally, after you impact your family, the next thing is to impact your team. If you're not able to pay people a decent wage, something that they can live off of, something that they can go, wow, I'm actually progressing in life, you're gonna be stuck in this never-ending cycle of churning through employees and churning through team members because they can't earn a decent wage with you. And when you are able to generate enough revenue to pay your team according to what they should be paid for a decent wage, and also for them to expand their family, expand their life, then it allows you to do other things with that. Now you can start getting into charitable contributions. Now, when you have that team member that has a crisis happen, you actually have something to help them with. Or when you are in a position to invest that money into something that could have greater impact, now you have the potential to do that. But without generating money, without earning money, and without being able to save and invest that money, your impact is going to be very, very little. You're going to have impact where you can just teach to other people and maybe they will have impact with others, but it's not going to have as loud of an impact. It's not going to be as great as you being able to generate enough revenue and then turning that revenue into something that can help other people. So guys, if you got a ton of value out of this video, let me know in the comments. And I also wanted to let you know, if you would like some help with your own school or your academy, just check us out at sevenfiguredojo.com and you'll get a ton of information about what we do to work with our clients one-on-one to help turn their dreams into reality.